Jamal Carter wipes down the counter in a dingy Jacksonville, Florida liquor store. Seconds from locking up, when Travis Maddox storms in, gun shaking, spitting vile slurs, demanding cash, blind to Jamal's for Iraq tours hardening his nerves. In one slick move, Jamal twists the punk's wrist, slamming him down, gun skittering away. Victory's sweet until headlights blaze through the glass, Travis's crew roaring up for blood. A simple robbery just ignited a war. What's Jamal facing next? Before we dive in, where you watching from? If you stand for justice, smash like, subscribe for more. Travis Maddox stumbles out the liquor store's chipped glass door, his face a mess of sweat and shame, one hand clutching his bruised wrist where Jamal Carter twisted it like a twig. He hits the pavement just as the night cracks open with the growl of engines. 3 beat-up pickup trucks swerving into the lot off Highway 17 in Jacksonville, Florida. Tires squeal, kicking up gravel that pings off the store's flickering neon sign. A faded promise of cold beer and cheap whiskey. 6 men pile out, boots thudding, their shadows stretching long under the sodium streetlights. Leading them is Buck Grayson, a mountain of a man, 6'5", skinhead bald. A swastika inked jagged across his thick neck. His eyes burn with something feral, lips curling as he spots Travis scrambling to his feet, babbling about the black bastard who dared to fight back. Buck spits a wad of tobacco onto the asphalt, his voice a low rumble. You let him punk you. We're fixing that right now. The crew doesn't hesitate, charging the store like a pack of wolves, their shouts laced with racial venom. Get out here, boy. You don't know who you messed with. Glass shatters as a bottle of Rodka vodka explodes against the storefront, shards raining down. Glinting in the dim glow, another guy, weary with a patchy beard, hoists a baseball bat, splintering the doorframe with a swing that echoes like a gunshot. Jamal's inside, heart steady despite the chaos, years of combat instincts snapping awake. He ducks behind the counter. It's chipped from mica, his only shield, as bullets start flying, punching holes through the cheap drywall, sending plumes of dust spiraling into the air. The fluorescent lights buzz louder, flickering like they're about to give up, bathing the store in a sickly yellow pulse. Buck's voice cuts through the gunfire. You think you're tough, huh? Disrespecting my boy, this is our town. Jamal doesn't flinch, doesn't waste breath on words. He grabs a heavy metal shelf stocked with dusty tequila bottles, muscles straining as he topples it toward the doorway, a makeshift barricade. The crash is deafening, glass exploding, liquor soaking the floor in a sticky flood, the sharp sting of alcohol fumes hitting his nose. 2 of Buck's goons yelp as the shelf clips their legs, pinning them for a moment, their curses drowned by the roar of another gunshot. Jamal rolls low, dodging a slug that buries itself in a stack of malt liquor cases, foam hissing out like blood from a wound. His mind's a steel trap, cataloging every move, every sound, the way he did in Fallujah. Spotting muzzle flashes in the dark, he snags a broom from the corner, snapping the handle over his knee, a jagged spear now in his grip. 1 thug lunges over the fallen shelf, a knife glinting in his fist, but Jamal's faster, jabbing the splintered wood into the guy's thigh, dropping him with a howl. The air's thick with sweat, gunpowder, and hate, every breath a fight to stay sharp. Buck bellows from outside. You're dead, you hear me? Dead. Jamal's holding them off, counting seconds, thinking he's got this under control, the chaos bending to his will. Then, a faint wail pierces the night, distant sirens growing louder. Red and blue lights, bouncing off the strip mall's cracked facade a few blocks down. Relief flickers in Jamal's chest, a split-second hope that the law is coming to end. This madness, the gang hears it too, freezing mid-attack, Buck's head whipping toward the sound, his snarl turning to a twisted grin. This ain't over, boy, he spits, signaling his crew to peel out. Engines roar as the trucks spin away, tires smoking, leaving broken glass and shell casings in their wake. Jamal exhales, shoulders easing, thinking he's won this round. The store a wreck but still standing, his pulse steady as the sirens close in. He steps from behind the counter, glass crunching under his sneakers, ready to flag down the cops. Tell them what went down. 2 sheriff's cruisers roll up, lights flashing, doors swinging open. Deputies climb out, hands on holsters, but their faces don't spell help. One's a weary kid, barely 25, with a buzz cut and a smirk. The other's older, heavy-set, chewing gum like he's bored. They saunter over, eyes raking Jamal up and down. Not the store, not the bullet holes, just him. The kid deputy snorts, looks like you had a party. Jamal straightens, voice level. Guy pulled a gun on me, then his buddies shot the place up. I defended myself. The older one chuckles, a wet, ugly sound, stepping closer. His badge glinting under the busted sign. Defended yourself. Looks more like you started trouble with some good OL boys. Jamal's jaw tightens, but he keeps it cool, pointing to the mess. They came for me after I stopped a robbery. Check the tape. The deputies don't move. Just trade a look, that smirk spreading. The kid kicks a shard of glass. Tape? What tape? Ain't no cameras working in this dump. Jamal's gut twists, knowing the store's cheap security cam caught it all, blurry or not. But these two aren't here to play fair. The older deputy leans in, breath sour with coffee. You're lucky we don't haul you in for disturbing the peace, boy. Stay out of trouble. They turn, swaggering back to their cars, leaving Jamal standing in the wreckage, fists clenched, the night swallowing their taillights. He's still breathing, still upright, but the weight of their words sinks deep, a promise of worse to come. The gang's threat echoing louder now, unbacked by the law he thought might shield him. Jamal Carter stands in the bullet-riddled shell of the liquor store, glass crunching under his sneakers, the stink of spilled tequila and gunpowder clinging to the air as Sheriff Roy Hensley rolls up in his cruiser, gravel popping beneath the tires. The man's a walking cliché, punch spilling over a Confederate flag belt buckle, gray stubble framing a face weathered by too many years of squinting at people he doesn't trust. His boots hit the ground with a thud, and Jamal straightens, ready to lay it out plain. Sheriff, I got a statement. Guy named Travis Maddox pulled a gun on me. Then his crew shot up the place. I stopped him. They came back for revenge. Hensley doesn't even glance at the wreckage, just chews his toothpick, eyes narrowing as he sizes Jamal up like he's the one who fired first. That's so, he drawls, voice thick with a southern twang that drips contempt. Sounds to me like you stirred up some trouble with them boys. What did you do to set him off? Jamal's chest tightens, but he keeps it locked down. Years of facing down chaos keeping his tone even. I didn't do anything but my job. Robber came in. I took him down. Then his gang showed up, screaming slurs, shooting. It's all on the security tape. Hensley snorts, a wet, dismissive sound, and ambles over to the counter, where the ancient camera hangs crooked, its lens smudged but still blinking red. He yanks the cord, popping the tape out with a grunt, holding it up like it's trash evidence. I'll take care of this, he says, pocketing it. But the smirk tugging at his lips tells Jamal everything, a cold certainty settling in his gut. Hensley leans closer, breath reeking of stale cigarettes. Let's get your story straight. Boy, you say Travis started it, but I reckon you provoked him. Maybe got too big for your britches. Jamal's fists clench, nails digging into his palms, but he forces calm. I'm a vet for tours in Iraq. I don't provoke, I react. Check the tape. You'll see. Hensley's eyes glint, hard and mean. Medals don't mean much when you're one of them. Travis is a local, got a rough past, sure, but he's free now. Bailed out an hour ago. Jamal blinks, the words hitting like a sucker punch. Bailed out. He pulled a gun. His buddies tried to kill me. Hensley shrugs, turning back to his cruiser. Ain't my problem. You can't handle a little roughhousing. Stay out of trouble. Or next time I won't be so nice. He drives off, leaving Jamal in the shattered store, pulse hammering, the tape gone. Justice slipping through his fingers like sand. Hours later, he trudges home to his apartment, a cramped one-bedroom off Arlington Road, the night heavy with humidity, crickets chirping in the bushes. He's bone-tired, ready to crash, when he spots his beat-up Honda Civic in the lot, all four tires slashed, rubber sagging into the asphalt. A scrap of paper flaps under the wiper, scrawled and jagged. Marker, you're dead, boy. His stomach drops, eyes scanning the dark, and then he sees it. A sheriff's cruiser idling across the street, to silhouettes inside, watching him, not moving, just sitting there, headlights off, a silent threat carved into the night. He steps closer to his car, the cuts in the tires deep, deliberate, a message he can't ignore. Hensley's voice echoes in his head, that sneer about one of them, and now this. Proof the law's not just blind, it's swinging against him. He grabs the note, crumpling it in his fist, thinking he's dodged the worst tonight. The gang's attack, the deputy's apathy. But this is different, a slow burn that promises more. Those silhouettes in the cruiser don't budge, their presence a weight pressing down. And Jamal knows this isn't over, not by a long shot. The store fight was just the spark, and Hensley's made it clear whose side he's on. What's a vet supposed to do when the system he fought for turns its back? Can you believe this guy gets to walk free after all that? Drop a comment with number 1 if you think Travis should have stayed locked up, or 2 if you're mad the sheriff's playing dirty. Hit that like button if you're rooting for Jamal to fight back, and subscribe to catch how deep this rabbit hole goes. So what happens when the law's not just ignoring you, but hunting you? Stick around to find out. Jamal Carter wakes before sunrise. The crumpled threat note from his slashed tires still balled up on the nightstand. Its words, "You're dead, boy," burned into his brain. The apartment's quiet. Too quiet, the hum of the AC unit the only sound as he pulls on a faded gray hoodie and laces his sneakers, steeling himself for the day. He's got a shift at the liquor store, despite the bullet holes and shattered glass from Buck's crew, because bills don't wait, and he's not about to let them break him. The sky's bruising purple over Jacksonville, Florida, humidity sticking to his skin as he steps into the parking lot off Arlington Road, eyes flicking to where the sheriff's cruiser sat last night, now gone. His Honda's a useless heap, tires flat, so he hoofs it the 3 miles to work, boots pounding the cracked sidewalk, mind replaying Hensley's smirk, Travis's gun, the gang's slurs. He's halfway there, cutting through the empty lot behind a shuttered gas station, when a shadow shifts in the dawn haze. Before he can pivot, Travis Maddox lunges from behind a rusted dumpster, eyes wild, swinging a tire iron that catches Jamal square in the ribs, knocking the wind out of him. 2 more figures peel from the gloom, Buck's cronies, one a lanky guy with a buzz cut, the other stocky with a scarred lip, both wielding matching irons, their laughter sharp and jagged. "Thought you were slick, huh, boy?" Travis snarls, voice thick with venom, slamming the iron down again, this time grazing Jamal's shoulder as he twists away. The air explodes with their shouts, racial slurs slicing through the morning stillness. "You don't belong here, vet or not." Jamal drops low, pain flaring, but his training kicks in, muscle memory from Iraq overriding the ache. He rolls, dodging a wild swing from Buzz Cut, and springs up, snagging the guy's wrist mid-motion, twisting hard until a sickening pop echoes, the thug's arm bending wrong, his scream splitting the quiet. The iron clatters to the pavement, and Jamal scoops it up, adrenaline surging, swinging it in a tight arc to catch Scar Lip in the knee, sending him sprawling with a guttural yell. Travis hesitates, eyes darting, then charges, iron raised, but Jamal sidesteps, slamming his elbow into Travis's jaw, a crack ringing out as teeth clack together. The trio's down, groaning, and Jamal bolts, legs pumping, chest heaving, the liquor store's flickering sign a beacon to blocks away. He hits the lot, skids to the door, fumbles the keys with shaking hands, and ducks inside, locking it behind him, breath ragged, thinking he's made it, safe for now. The store's a mess, shelves toppled from last night, but it's his fortress, glass crunching as he stumbles to the counter, grabbing the phone to call his buddy Marcus, a bouncer who'd owe him a ride after this. He dials, but the line's dead, just a flat buzz, and his stomach lurches, realization dawning slow and cold. He glances up, and that's when the lights die, plunging the store into shadow, the hum of the fluorescents gone, leaving only the thud of his pulse. Outside, a glow flickers orange and hungry, and he peers through the grimy window to see his Honda, towed here somehow, engulfed in flames, fire licking the hood, black smoke curling into the dawn sky. Travis stands by it, grinning like a jackal, a gas can dangling from his hand, while Buck looms beside him, tossing a Molotov cocktail that shatters against the pavement, a wall of heat blasting the storefront. "You're done, boy," Buck roars, voice booming over the crackle. "This is what happens when you mess with us." Jamal's jaw locks, fists balling. Watching the car he scraped years to buy turn to ash, every payment a memory torched. Sirens wail in the distance, faint but growing, and he thinks help's finally coming. That someone saw the smoke, called it in. Travis and Buck freeze, heads snapping toward the sound. Then bolt for a truck parked across the lot, peeling out. In a screech of rubber, leaving the fire to rage. Jamal sinks against the counter, chest tight, the phone still dead in his hand. Waiting for flashing lights to cut through the haze. Minutes crawl by, 5, then 10. And the sirens fade, swallowed by the morning. No cruisers, no fire trucks. Just the hiss of burning metal and the stench of gasoline seeping through the cracked door. He's alone, the flames dying down to embers, his ride gone, his ribs throbbing. The ambush a fresh scar on a night that won't quit. Travis's grin haunts him. Buck's promise ringing, and he knows this is no random hit, it's personal. Racial hate dialed up to 11, and the law's silence screams louder than the fire ever could. Jamal Carter stands in the liquor store's smoky aftermath, the charred husk of his Honda smoldering in the lot, its twisted frame a gut punch under Jacksonville's gray morning sky. His ribs ache from Travis's tire iron, bruises blooming, purple across his side, but he's still upright. Wiping soot off his hands when Sheriff Roy Hensley's cruiser rolls up, lights off, tires crunching over the debris. The big man steps out, Confederate buckle glinting, toothpick rolling between his lips, and Jamal braces, expecting questions about the fire, the ambush, something resembling law. Instead, Hensley's eyes flick to the wreckage, then lock on. "Jamal," a slow smirk spreading. Well, looks like you've been busy, boy." Jamal's voice stays level, though his pulse kicks up. "Travis and his crew jumped me at dawn, torched my car. I fought him off, locked myself in here. That's what happened." Hensley doesn't write anything down, just circles the burnt-out Honda, kicking a melted hubcap with a dull clang. "Funny thing," he says, voice syrupy with menace. "I got a call from Travis Maddox not 20 minutes ago. Says you attacked him and his buddies out of nowhere. Then set this fire yourself. Reckon he's got a busted jaw to prove it." Jamal's stomach drops. The lie so bold it's almost laughable, but Hensley's face is stone. No hint of doubt, that's bullshit. Jamal snaps, stepping forward. "They came for me, 3-on-1, screaming slurs. I defended myself, same as last night. You saw the store, you know they're after me." Hensley chuckles, a low, wet sound, and pulls cuffs from his belt, the metal glinting cold. "Self-defense, huh? Sounds like a story. Hands behind your back. Let's sort this at the station." Before Jamal can argue, the cuffs snap on, biting into his wrists, and Hensley shoves him toward the cruiser, the door slamming shut with a hollow thud. The ride's a blur, Jacksonville's strip malls smearing past the window, the sheriff humming some old country tune like he's on a Sunday drive. At the station, a squat brick building off Baymeadows Road, deputies swarm, their boots scuffing. The linoleum as Jamal's marched inside, Hensley barking orders. They shove him into a holding room, a flickering bulb overhead, walls stained with years of grime. 2 deputies linger, one a weary guy with a buzz cut, the other a beefy redhead with a lazy eye, both grinning like cats with a trapped mouse. "For tours, huh?" Buzz cut sneers, leaning against the table. "Bet you think you're some kinda hero. More like a thug with a badge fantasy." Redhead snickers, cracking his knuckles. "Yeah, Iraq don't make you special, boy. Just means you're good at starting trouble." Jamal sits, cuffed, staring them down. "I stopped a robbery, took down a punk who pulled a gun. His crew's been hunting me since." "That's the truth." Buzz cut leans in, breath sour with dip. "Truth. Travis says you jumped him. No gun, no nothing. Guess who we believe?" The door swings open, Hensley strutting in, tossing a file on the table. "You're lucky, Carter. No charges yet. Just a night in lockup to cool off. Bails. Set at $500. Jamal's released at dawn, ribs throbbing. The station's stale air swap for the muggy heat outside, thinking he's dodged a bullet. The frame up to flimsy to stick. He scrapes the bail from savings, catches a bus home, every jolt sending pain spiking through his side. He's 2 blocks from his apartment when he sees it, the door ajar, splintered where the lock used to be. Inside, it's a war zone, couch slashed, TV smashed, glass glittering across the floor like fallen stars. Spray painted in red across the living room wall, jagged letters scream, "Go back to Iraq." The paint's still wet, dripping like blood. His breath catches, hands shaking as he steps over broken dishes. A photo of him and his sister Keisha from her graduation cracked underfoot. He sinks onto the wrecked couch, head in hands, the weight of it all slamming down Hensley's lies. The ambush, now this. A neighbor, Mrs. Tillman, an older black woman with gray braids, pokes her head in, voice trembling. Saw him do it, Jamal. That Travis and his boys, laughing like it was a game. Sheriff's truck was parked out front, just watching. Jamal's eyes snap up, fury boiling under the exhaustion. Hensley was here. She nods, wringing her hands, didn't lift a finger, looked pleased as punch. He stands, pacing the ruin, every step crunching glass, the message on the wall a neon sign of hate. He'd beaten the false charge, walked out of that station, thinking he'd won a round. But this hits harder, his sanctuary gutted. The law not just blind, but complicit. Travis's crew didn't just torch his car. They've ripped into his life, and Hensley's green light means there's no bottom to this pit. Jamal Carter steps over the wreckage of his apartment. The spray-painted slur "Go back to Iraq" glaring from the wall like a fresh wound. But he's not broken yet. He grabs a duffel, stuffs it with what's left, clothes, a cracked photo of him in his Marine uniform, and heads back to the liquor store, determined to clock in despite the chaos. Jacksonville's morning sun beats down, humidity thick as syrup, and he's limping from the ambush, ribs still screaming, when a white news van screeches into the lot off Highway 17. A reporter hops out, blonde hair teased high, mic in hand, camera rolling, her voice chipper. "This the place where that crazy vet went off." Jamal freezes, gut twisting, as she strides up. "Jamal Carter, right? Word is you're terrorizing locals, starting fights, torching cars. Care to comment?" He blinks. "The lie so wild it's almost funny. That's not what happened. Travis Maddox pulled a gun on me. His crew's been after me since. Sheriff Hensley's twisting it." She smirks, jotting nothing. "Sheriff says you attacked Travis unprovoked. Got a violent streak from Iraq. Sources back him up." Jamal's jaw locks. "Sources? They're lying. I defended myself, that's it." She cuts him off, turning to the camera. "There you have it, folks. A former soldier turned loose cannon in our quiet town." The feed cuts, and Jamal's phone buzzes. A text from his boss. "Mr. Patel, saw the news. You're fired. Too much heat." Jamal stares at the screen, the words a punch to the chest. For months of late shifts, mopping floors, gone in a blink. He heads out, head high despite the ache, when a pickup rumbles past, Buck Grayson's crew inside. Hooting and hollering. Look at the big bad vet now. Beer cans fly, one smacking his shoulder. Cold liquid soaking his hoodie, another bursting. On the pavement with a hiss. He spins, fists balled, but they're not done. Phone cameras out, filming as Travis leans from the window. This is what happens to uppity vets who don't know their place. The truck peels off, tires squealing, leaving Jamal dripping. The sting of humiliation sharper than the bruises. He trudges home, the news story already live. His face plastered online, veteran menace in Jacksonville. The headline screams. Comments piling up, send him back, typical thug. By nightfall, it's viral, thousands of views, Buck's vlog popping up next. The beer can clip loop with a racist rant. "We're taking our town back from trash like him." Jamal sits on his slashed couch, replaying it, the world turning on him, thinking he's held onto some shred of dignity walking out of that store unbroken. Then his phone lights up again, a call from the apartment manager, "Rent's due. But after this mess, you're out. Find somewhere else." He hangs up, the weight crashing down, job gone, home next, all from Hensley's lie and the gang's hate. He's a vet who survived war zones, but this public shredding cuts deeper. Every stranger's sneer a bullet. How's a man supposed to stand when the whole town's bought the lie? Drop a comment with #1 if you think Jamal's Getting screwed by the system, or two if you'd fire that boss for caving so fast. Smash that like if you're raging at this injustice, and subscribe to see Jamal fight back. What's a guy do when his name's Mud and the wolves are still circling? Stay tuned, it's about to get wilder. Jamal Carter slings his duffel over his shoulder, the stench of beer from Buck's crew still clinging to his hoodie, his apartment a gutted shell behind him. As he heads out under Jacksonville's overcast sky, jobless, evicted, and viral for all the wrong reasons, he's got one lifeline left, his sister Keisha, 32, a nurse with 2 kids, living 10 miles across town in a modest duplex off Normandy Boulevard. He catches a bus, the rumble of the engine vibrating his bruised ribs, every jolt a reminder of Travis's tire iron. Keisha's waiting when he arrives, her face tight with worry, braids pulled back, arms crossed in the doorway. Jamal, what the hell's going on? Saw you on the news, looking like some criminal. He drops the bag, exhaling. It's all lies. Keish, robber pulled a gun. I stop him. Now his gang and the sheriff are making me pay. She pulls him inside, the duplex warm with the smell of mac and cheese. Her boys, 8-year-old Ty and 6-year-old Malik, peeking from the hall, wide-eyed. You're safe here, she says, voice firm. We'll figure it out. Jamal crashes on her couch, the first real rest in days, thinking this might be his breather, a chance to regroup. Night falls, the kids tucked in, the house settling into silence when a sharp crash shatters it. Glass exploding inward as Molotov cocktails sail through the living room windows. Flames roaring up the curtains in a heartbeat. Jamal bolts upright, smoke stinging his eyes, yelling, Keisha, get the boys. She stumbles out, coughing, scooping Malik while Jamal grabs Ty, fire licking the walls, heat searing his skin. They burst out the back door, bare feet slapping wet grass, the duplex blazing behind them, orange tongues swallowing everything. Jamal spins, scanning the dark, and catches Travis in the glow, grinning from a truck idling across the street. Buck at the wheel, their laughter cutting through the crackle. Told you, boy, you're done. Travis hollers, peeling out as neighbors spill onto lawns, phones out, filming but not helping. Jamal herds Keisha and the kids down the block, lungs burning, the house a bonfire now, years of her savings, the boys' toys all ash. He finds a motel off I-95, pays cash for a room, the clerk barely glancing up as they shuffle in. Ty clinging to his leg, Malik sobbing into Keisha's shirt. Jamal's pacing, fists clenched. I thought we'd be okay here, Keish. They tracked me. She nods, eyes red. They're animals. Jamal, what's next? He's about to answer when a knock rattles the flimsy door, slow and deliberate. He cracks it, and there's Sheriff Roy Hensley, leaning against the frame, his bulk filling the space, that damn Confederate buckle glinting under the motel's buzzing light. Heard about your little fire, he drawls, voice slick with fake pity, shame about that. Jamal steps forward. You know who did it? Travis and Buck. I saw him. Hensley's smirk widens. Funny, I got witnesses saying you said it. Mad about losing your job or some such. Arson's a big charge, Carter. Keisha gasps, pushing past. That's a lie. We barely got out alive. Hensley doesn't flinch, eyes cold. Watch your tone, girl. Here's the deal, Jamal confesses. Says it was a tantrum gone wrong, and I don't haul those boys off to foster care tonight. He nods at Ty and Malik, huddled on the bed, their faces pale. Jamal's blood runs hot. You're threatening my family over this. I didn't do it. Hensley shrugs. Your word against mine, and I got a badge. Think it over. He saunters off, cruiser idling in the lot, a shadow against the neon glow. Keisha grabs Jamal's arm, voice shaking. We can't let him take them. Fight this. Jamal, please. He nods, jaw tight, the motel room closing in. Travis's grin and Buck's firebomb replaying in his head. He'd escaped with them. Thought they'd dodged the worst, but Hensley's threat twists the knife deeper, the gang's. Hate now a noose around his sister's neck too. Jamal Carter sits on the motel bed, Keisha's words, fight this, echoing in his skull. The smoke from her torch duplex still stinging his lungs. As dawn creeps through the blinds off I-95, Ty and Malik sleep fitfully beside her, their small bodies curled tight, and he knows Hensley's threat to take them isn't bluffing. He's got no job, no home, but he's got grit, and he's not letting that sheriff win. He calls a lawyer, a scrappy guy named Leon Price, 40-ish, with a cheap suit and a fire in his eyes, who meets him at a diner over bitter coffee. Hensley's dirty, Leon says, scribbling notes. We sue for harassment, nail him with evidence. Got anything? Jamal pulls out his phone, showing a shaky video Mrs. Tillman texted him. Her footage of Travis and Buck trashing his apartment, Hensley's cruiser in the frame. This enough, Leon grins. It's a start. Let's drag him to court. Days later, they're in Jacksonville's county courthouse. A stuffy room with peeling paint and a judge's bench looming high. Judge Harold Vance, a weary old man with a buzzard's glare, and Hensley's golf buddy, presides. His gavel a sharp crack as Jamal takes the stand. Leon lays it out. Sheriff Hensley's targeted my client, a decorated vet, with fabricated charges, ignored attacks by Travis Maddox and Buck Grayson, even watched them vandalize his home. This video proves it. The grainy clip plays, Travis's laugh clear, Hensley's silhouette damning, murmurs rippling through the sparse crowd, a few locals shifting uncomfortably. Jamal testifies, voice steady. I stopped a robbery. They've been coming for me ever since. Racial hate driving it. Hensley's protecting them. Vance squints, cutting Leon off. This footage could be anyone. Inadmissible, lacks clarity. Jamal's gut sinks, but Leon pushes. It's context, Your Honor, paired with testimony. Vance bangs the gavel, overruled. No proof Hensley orchestrated anything. The room tilts, Jamal's hope fraying, until a reporter in the back, a young woman with a notepad, pipes up. What about the news story? Public's asking questions. Whispers grow, phones buzz, and Vance scowls. Order, fine, sheriffs, suspended pending review. But that's it. Jamal exhales, a small win, Hensley's badge on ice. The crowd filing out as Leon claps his shoulder. We got traction, man. Celebrate tonight. Jamal nods, stepping into the humid afternoon. The courthouse steps slick with drizzle, thinking he's turned a corner. The system bending just enough. He's texting Keisha the news when a van screeches up. No plates, doors flying open. Travis and Buck lunge out, masks off, eyes blazing. You embarrassed us, boy. Travis swings a bat, cracking Jamal's knee, pain exploding as he drops, asphalt biting his palms. Buck grabs his arms, wrenching them back, and they drag him in. Tires spinning as the van bolts, courthouse fading in the rearview. They haul him to a backwoods shack off the St. Johns River, moss dripping from oaks, the air thick with rot. Inside, it's a dungeon, bare bulbs swinging, walls stained with God knows what. Travis ties Jamal's hands with zip ties, cutting into his wrists, while Buck pulls a hunting knife, its blade glinting dull. You think a courtroom saves you? Buck snarls, pressing the tip to Jamal's arm. This is our justice. He carves slow, deliberate, a racial slur etching into Jamal's skin, blood welling. The sting white hot, Travis giggling like a kid at a carnival. Jamal grits his teeth, no scream. Eyes locked on Buck's, for Tor's teaching him pain's just noise. They finish, the word raw and red. That's for showing off. Travis spits, kicking him in the ribs. Bones creaking. Buck looms. Next time, it's your nephews. They dump him, battered and bleeding. In the dirt, wolves howling in the distance, the van's taillights swallowed by the trees. Jamal lies there, breath shallow. The courtroom's echo of victory a cruel joke, this mutilation a roaring counterpunch. Hate carved into his flesh, the gang's promise ringing louder than any gavel. Jamal Carter lies, sprawled in the muddy backwoods off the St. Johns River, the racial slur carved into his arm throbbing, blood seeping into the dirt as wolves howl somewhere too close. For comfort, Jacksonville's humid night wraps around him, thick and suffocating, but he's not done. For tours in Iraq taught him how to stitch a wound, how to push past pain, and he's not letting Travis and Buck write his ending. He drags himself upright, every breath a knife in his ribs, the zip, ties cutting into his wrists until he snaps them against a jagged rock, skin raw but free. His hoodie's shredded, but he finds a gas station 2 miles out, staggering in. The clerk gaping as Jamal snags a first aid kit from the shelf. No cash, just a grunted, "I'll pay later." Back in the woods, he hungers under an oak, moonlight glinting off the needle as he threads it through his torn flesh, stitching the slur shut. Each pull a silent vow. The pain's a dull roar, but his mind's sharp, replaying Buck's threat. Next time, it's your nephews and Travis's giggle, that sick glee fueling him. He's got no phone, no ride, but he's got instincts, and they scream to hit. Back, he tracks boot prints in the mud, following tire ruts to a dive bar off Old King's Road. A squat cinder block joint with Harleys out front and neon buzzing cold beer. Through the grimy window, he spots Travis swaggering at the pool table, jaw swollen from Jamal's elbow days ago. Laughing with a crew of roughnecks, Jamal slips in, hood up, snagging a pool cue from the rack, the wood solid in his grip. He waits, pulse steady, until Travis stumbles to the john, alone. Jamal moves, quick and quiet, slamming the cue into Travis's gut, doubling him over with a wheeze, then cracking it across his nose, blood spraying, a wet crunch echoing off the tiles. Travis flops, gasping, "You're crazy, man." Jamal kneels, voice low, "What's Buck planning?" He said something big. "Talk." Travis spits red, eyes darting. "He's gonna teach black trash a lesson. That's all I know." Jamal presses the cue to his throat. "Where?" Travis chokes. "I dunno. He's the brains." Jamal eases off, standing, thinking he's got leverage now, a crack in their armor. He's halfway out when sirens wail, red and blue slicing through the bar's smoky haze. Patrons scattering. Sheriff Roy Hensley storms in, badge back on, suspension lifted like it never happened, his bulk filling the doorway as deputies swarm. "Carter," he bellows, spotting Jamal, "you're under arrest, assault with a deadly weapon." Travis staggers up, grinning through the blood, pointing, "He jumped me, Sheriff," unprovoked. Jamal freezes, the cue still in hand, bar. Crowd nodding along. "Yeah, saw it, that black guy's nuts." Hensley cuffs him, tight enough to bruise, growling, "Thought you'd play hero. A big mistake." The deputies shove him into a cruiser, the bar's neon fading as they peel out. Hensley's grin in the rearview a slap in the face. Jamal's mind races. He'd turned the tables. Got a piece of Travis, a hint of Buck's next move. But this. Hensley swooping in, flips it all back, the law a trap snapping shut. The station's a blur, booking, mugshot, the same grimy cell from before. But he's alive, stitched up, and he's got something. Travis's slip about something big. He leans against the cold wall, blood crusted on his sleeve, knowing, this ain't the end, not yet. How's a vet keep fighting when the deck's stacked this high? Comment number 1 if you think Jamal's a badass for stitching himself up, or 2 if you're pissed Hensley's back in the game. Hit that like if you're cheering him on, and subscribe to see this revenge kick up a notch. What's Buck cooking up that's got Travis spilling blood over it? Buckle up. Next part's gonna blow the roof off. Jamal Carter sits in the Jacksonville County Jail, the cell's concrete wall cold against his back, the stitches in his arm itching under a crust of blood. Hensley's cuffs still biting his wrists as the sheriff's smug grin lingers in his mind. The air's thick with sweat and mildew, a single bulb flickering overhead, casting jittery shadows. He's locked up for cracking Travis's nose, a 48-hour hold. But he's still buzzing from the fight. Travis's slip about. Buck's big plan ember glowing in his head. He's plotting his next move when the cell door clanks open. 2 inmates swaggering in. Buck's boys. Their shaved heads gleaming, swastikas inked on their knuckles. One's a lanky guy with a hooked nose, the other broad, bull-necked, both smirking like they've been waiting for this. Well, Hook Nose drawls. The vet who don't know his place. Bull Neck cracks his fists. Buck says, "Hi, boy." Jamal stands, slow, ribs aching, sizing them up. "Tell Buck I'll see him soon." They don't waste words. Hook Nose lunging with a shiv, a sharpened toothbrush glinting, aiming for Jamal's gut. He twists, the blade grazing his side. A hot sting as he grabs the guy's wrist, slamming it against the bunk's metal frame, plastic snapping. Bull Neck charges, meaty arm swinging, but Jamal ducks, driving a knee into his groin, dropping him with a wheeze. Hook Nose recovers, slashing again, this time catching Jamal's forearm, blood welling. But Jamal's faster, locking him in a chokehold, years in Iraq making it second nature. The guy gasps, clawing, "You're dead, black trash, Jamal." Tightens, "Not today," until hook nose goes limp, out cold. Bull necks crawling, groaning. "You'll pay for this," when guards finally burst in, batons raised, yelling, "Break it up." They drag the thugs out, leaving Jamal panting, blood dripping, thinking he's held his ground. Survived another round. 48 hours crawl by, the cell a pressure cooker. Every creak a threat, but no more attacks come. He's released at dawn, gate buzzing open, stepping into the muggy Jacksonville air, shirt torn, fresh cuts stinging. Figuring he's free to regroup, get to Keisha and the boys at the motel. He's limping down Bay Meadows Road, sun barely up, when his phone, handed back at discharge, buzzes with a text from an unknown number. "Your blood pays for this." His gut drops, and he dials Keisha frantic. No answer, just voicemail. Her cheery greeting a gut punch. He sprints the 5 miles to the motel off I-95, legs burning. Dread clawing his chest, the parking lot too quiet when he arrives. The room's door swings loose, hinges creaking, and inside it's empty, beds unmade. T's Spider-Man toy on the floor, Malik's sippy cup tipped over. A puddle of juice soaking the carpet. A note's pinned to the pillow, scrawled in black. Marker, "Your blood pays for this," same as the text. Buck's handwriting from the tire/note weeks ago. Jamal's knees buckle, breath hitching. The room spinning as he clutches the paper, their absence a sledgehammer to his soul. His phone rings, a burner's crackle, and Buck's voice slithers through. "You hit Travis. You bleed for it. Keep coming." And their necks. The line dies, and Jamal's frozen. The jail fight a hollow win now. This kidnapping shattering everything. He stumbles outside. Hensley's cruiser idling across the lot, the sheriff's silhouette watching. Not moving, a silent taunt. Jamal's fists ball, the boys' faces flashing. T's gap-toothed grin. Malik's shy giggle. Gone because he fought back, because hate's got no limit here. Jamal Carter stands in the trashed motel room off I-95, T's Spider-Man toy clutched in one hand. The note, "Your blood pays for this," crumpled in the other. Buck's voice still hissing through the burner call, a venomous promise that's got his nephews, Ty and Malik, in their grip. Jacksonville's dawn is a gray smear outside. Hensley's cruiser lurking across the lot like a vulture. But Jamal's not waiting for the law to care. He's got nothing left but fight, for tours in Iraq honing a mind that doesn't break, even now. With his heart in shards, he sprints to a payphone down the block, coins rattling as he dials Leon. His lawyer, voice low. Buck took Keisha's. "Boys, I need a lead." Leon's groggy, but sharpens fast. Hensley's dirty as hell. "Check his office. Might find something. I'll cover you legally." Jamal's moving before the call ends, hitching a ride with a trucker to the sheriff's station. A squat brick fortress on Bay Meadows Road. Nights still thick. Humidity cloaking him as he slips around back. The rear doors lock a joke, too. His vet skills, picked in seconds with a bent paperclip. Inside, it's dim. Stale coffee and cigar smoke hanging heavy, deputies snoring at desks. He creeps to Hensley's office, a cluttered cave of files and faded flags, and starts rifling. Heart pounding but hands steady. Under a stack of hunting mags, he finds it. A scribbled note, Grayson, Old Warehouse, Lum Turner. Midnight, dated today. Buck's hideout, it's got to be, and the clock's ticking, 11:30 now. He bolts, stealing a deputy's bike. From the lot, pedaling hard through Jacksonville's sleeping streets, thighs burning, ribs screaming. The warehouse a hulking shadow 5 miles out. Rusted steel and broken windows off Lum Turner Road. He ditches the bike in the weeds, creeping. Close, the stink of oil and rot thick as he spots to guards, Buck's goons, pacing with shotguns. Jamal's silent, a ghost from Fallujah, circling wide, then lunges, snapping one's neck with a quick twist, the other catching a fist to the throat. Both down without a sound, their guns clattering. He slips inside, a cavern of crates, and flickering bulbs, and hears T's whimper, Malik's soft cry, echoing from a back room. He finds them, locked in a makeshift cage, bars rusted but solid, their small faces pale, eyes wide. "Uncle Jay," Ty whispers, and Jamal's prying the lock with a crowbar from the floor. Metal groaning, popping free. He pulls them out, hugging. "Tight, I got you, we're gone." And they're moving, out a side exit. His arms around their shoulders, thinking he's pulled it off, the nightmare snapping. Then a truck roars up, headlights blinding. Buck Grayson stepping out, fury twisting his face. "You don't quit, do you, boy?" Jamal shoves the boys behind a dumpster, spinning to face him. But a crack splits the air, a sniper's bullet grazing his shoulder, blood blooming hot. He stumbles, turning, and there's Hensley, out of the shadows, service pistol drawn. His growl cutting through. "Time to cleanse this county." Buck's gang swarms from the warehouse. 6, 8, 10 of them, bats and chains in hand, circling. Like hyenas, cutting off every exit. Jamal's breath hitches, the boys trembling behind him. His rescue flipping into a trap, Hensley's badge the leash on this hate-fueled pack. The warehouse a kill box with no way out. Jamal Carter crouches behind a rusted dumpster in the warehouse off Lem Turner Road. Ty and Malik pressed close, their breaths quick and shallow. The sting of the sniper's graze searing his shoulder as Buck Grayson's gang closes in. A ring of snarling faces, bats and chains glinting under the flickering bulbs. Sheriff Roy Hensley stands tall, pistol steady, his voice a low growl. "You're done, Carter. You and your kind." Jacksonville's midnight air chokes with oil and sweat, the warehouse a trap. But Jamal's not folding. He spots a barrel. Nearby, acrid smoke curling from a smoldering rag, and kicks it hard, sending it rolling into the gang, black clouds billowing, stinging eyes, choking lungs. "Stay low," he hisses to the boys, dragging them to a ditch behind crates, their small hands gripping his torn hoodie. The smoke's a shroud. Shouts turning to coughs as Buck's crew stumbles blind, and Jamal moves, weaving through the haze, years in Iraq sharpening his edge. He lures Hensley, letting the sheriff's heavy steps echo. Then darts out, legs sweeping low, a brutal takedown that sends Hensley sprawling. Gun skittering across the concrete. Jamal's on him, wrenching. The sheriff's radio free, flipping it on, Hensley's snarl crackling live. "I'll wipe this county clean of trash like you." The words blast out, raw and ugly, Jamal holding the button down, broadcasting to every deputy, every scanner in range. Hensley scrambles, face purple. "You bastard." But Jamal's boot pins his chest. "Smile, Sheriff, you're famous now." The gang hesitates, smoke thinning, their eyes darting as distant sirens wail. State troopers closing in fast, drawn by the radio's venom. Buck roars, he's bluffing, and charges, bat raised. But Jamal rolls, snagging a chain from the floor, whipping it around Buck's ankle, yanking hard. The big man crashes, skull smacking concrete, and the crew scatters, boots pounding, vanishing into the night as red and blue lights flood the warehouse, troopers pouring in. Rifles up, Jamal shields the boys, hands raised. "We're the victims." And the troopers swarm, cuffing Hensley, his badge glinting useless now. His rant still echoing in their ears. Buck's down, groaning, blood pooling, and Jamal thinks it's over, the nightmare cracking open. Justice clawing through. He's breathing hard, shoulder leaking red, Ty and Malik clinging, safe, when Buck lurches up. Wild eyed, a detonator in his fist. "If I go, you all go." A click, a deafening boom, and the warehouse erupts, a homemade bomb rigged in the rafters. Steel beams snapping, walls buckling. Jamal dives, shoving the boys under a crate as debris rains. A chunk of concrete slamming his back, pinning him, thus choking his lungs. Troopers shout, chaos swallowing the scene. Flashlights cutting through rubble, unsure who's friend, who's foe. Jamal's trapped, legs numb. The boys whimpering beside him, Hensley's confession of victory buried. Under this madness, Buck's last laugh a blast that might have ended it all. Jamal Carter lies pinned under a slab of concrete in the wrecked warehouse off Lem Turner Road. Dust thick in his throat, Ty and Malik huddled beside him, their small gasps cutting through the ringing in his ears. Jacksonville's night pulses. With chaos, state troopers shouting, beams of light slicing through the rubble as they dig. Buck Grayson's bomb having turned triumph into a tomb, his shoulders a mess. blood soaking his torn hoodie, legs numb. But he's alive. The boys are alive, and Hensley's racist rant still crackles in his mind, broadcast live for all to hear. Boots crunch closer, troopers yelling, "Over here," and hands wrench the debris free, pulling Jamal out, his nephews clinging as medics swarm, wrapping his arm, checking the boy's wide eyes. Across the wreckage, Hensley's cuffed, face bloody, snarling as troopers haul him up, Buck beside him, wrists bound. His detonator stunt a failure that didn't kill them all. Jamal's head spins, relief flooding, thinking this might be it, the end of the nightmare. Hours later, he's in a hospital bed, bandages tight, Keisha bursting in, tears streaking as she hugs Ty and Malik. Then him, "You got him back. Jamal, you did it." He nods. Voice hoarse, "Hensley's done. Keish." Radio caught it all. By morning, the story's viral, sheriff's racist meltdown. Clips of Hensley's confession flooding the internet. Protests flaring outside the station. Outrage boiling over. Buck's locked up, his bomb tying him to a dozen charges. And Jamal's released, limping out with Keisha and the boys, a flicker of hope sparking. Thinking he's reclaimed something, a life battered but unbroken. They crash at a new motel, TV blaring news of Hensley's arraignment, and Jamal exhales. The weight lifting, until a knock jolts him. It's Leon, his lawyer, Ty loose, face grim. "We got a problem, Jamal." He slides a legal packet across. The table, Travis Maddox, out on bail, sued you for assault, claims that bar fight was unprovoked. Judge Vance is hearing it, Hensley's old pal. Jamal's stomach drops. "I was defending myself." He's the one who started this. Leon sighs. Vance don't care. Lawsuits a slam dunk. They're hitting you for 50 grand, every dime you've got, and then some. Days drag into a courtroom blur. Vance's gavel a hammer, ruling against Jamal, bankrupting him. Savings gone. Keisha's too. The duplex fire insurance denied over suspicious circumstances. He's got no fight left, packing the boys and Keisha into a borrowed car. Fleeing Jacksonville for Georgia, a fresh start with nothing but lint in his pockets. They're an hour over the state line, radio crackling static, when a news break cuts in. Shocking development in Jacksonville. Sheriff Roy Hensley freed from custody. Allies in a militia group stormed the jail, killed the guards, vowing a race war with veteran Jamal Carter as target number one. Jamal's hands tighten on the wheel, Keisha gasping. The boys silent in the back, a chill snaking up his spine. He'd won, exposed Hensley, saved his family, only to lose everything, the law, his home. And now this, a fugitive's life with hate's crosshairs locked on him, the fight far from over. Jamal Carter's harrowing journey reveals raw truths about resilience, injustice, and the unrelenting grip of systemic racism. First, his story shows that strength isn't just physical. It's the will to stand when everything law, society, even family safety crumbles. For tours in Iraq forged Jamal's grit, yet surviving a racist vendetta at home tested it harder, proving courage thrives in the darkest corners. Second, it exposes how power twists justice. Sheriff Hensley's badge didn't protect, it hunted. A chilling reminder that systems can shield the guilty and punish the innocent. Travis and Buck's relentless attacks, fueled by hate, highlight how prejudice doesn't just wound, it seeks to erase. Third, Jamal's fleeting victories, snatched by lawsuits and jailbreaks, teach that fighting racism isn't a straight win. It's a war with setbacks, where every step forward risks a brutal shove back. His family's targeting underscores the collateral damage, showing hate spares no one. Finally, the twist ending, with Hensley's militia vowing a race war, screams that silence lets evil fester. Jamal's battle didn't end, because the fight's bigger than one man. It's a call to see, to act, to not let these stories fade. What hits hardest here? That a vet who served his country gets chased out by it? Or that justice can be a mirage? Drop a comment with your take. Hit like if Jamal's fight fires you up. Subscribe for more real talk tales, and share to wake folks up. Thanks for riding this wild road with us. Stay strong, stay loud, and here's to a world where fairness isn't just a dream,